Now,
Take that, Dan Reichert.
User in your channel started recording.
in your face, Dan Reichardt. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Madame and Monsieur, meine Damen and Herren, welcome to 3, 2, play Cabaret.
That's not...
This is our newly named podcast based around free-to-play games, specifically League of Legends, Dota, Warframe, and just whatever else we're going to be talking about. And it seems wrestling is going to be in there at some point. My name is Jazz, otherwise otherwise known as Jasper. With me are my good friends, BM Panda, otherwise known as Gunslinger Panda on the Giant Bomb forums. We all know him as Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hello!
Oof,
See, I'm in the
Mike,
mood for the
check.
cabaret.
And our own personal Backstreet Boys fan, otherwise known as TBK on the forums and Pobaxi in League, Chris. Hello, Chris.
I should send you my list of music that I have on my hard drive. I really should.
I think Backstreet Boys Enthusiast sounds better. Just to,
Yes,
hammer home just how much he loves Backstreet Boys.
Oh man, I will get you again at some time, Chris. I will get you when you're least expecting it.
I know, I'm fearing it already.
Okay. So, compared to last week, where we just kind of went off on one and hoped we'd get somewhere, I've kind of drafted up some way of us going about having a podcast in some sort of format. So we've done our introduction. Now we're going to be talking about League of Legends. Our resident expert on League of Legends is Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hi.
And we're going to talk about the new patch, which came out, what was it, the beginning of this week?
I think patch day on EU West is Wednesday? Between Tuesday and Wednesday they patch it, yeah.
Yeah, we should probably state that we all play on EU West. So, yeah. Anyway, patches. Talk to me about the patch. Let me just get it up on the old computer. There's a lot of minor tweaks to this one, weren't there? Some of them are a bit more painful than others.
Yeah, I think Zed and probably Rengar got the biggest changes.
Yeah, the Rengar one made me twitch quite severely when I saw it.
I've seen enough Rengars who are just pop stomping people, so yeah. I mean, I don't play myself, but being on the receiving end, it's quite obnoxious if he just pops out of somewhere and just murders your entire team.
As opposed to Yi, who just do that without having to pop out of somewhere.
Yeah, but you can see Yi, and if you have someone who's able to just hard CC him, he just stands there and then he dies.
Does the CC work even when he's Highlandering?
I think snares do and stuns do. I don't think slows do. I'm not 100% sure.
I thought nothing worked.
I don't see Yi all that often, to be honest.
Aren't you a lucky one?
No.
Okay, so let's take a look at the stuff we've got going on here. We'll talk about Gnar at the end of the patch notes. Gragas. Gragas has been given Lichbane as a recommended item, and his E always carries him the maximum distance, apparently. Thoughts on that?
Not a top lane Gragas player, not a Gragas player in general. I think it's probably helpful for him. I mean, it is helpful for him because now he has probably a better way to escape and to initiate. Body Slam is used for these two things. So you just either go in or you go out. So it's probably a nice change to him because I think last patch he got nerfed a bit. They reduced his wave clear, I think.
And his what was his W? Is it where he drinks something?
I think that's the W. Yeah, I think that
yeah,
also
that
now
got
gives
nerfed as well.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, I very rarely see Gragas, so Kassadin, who I don't think I've ever seen played in the low ELO hell that I'm in.
Kassadin, poor. No, Kassadin is a weird story.
Well, we're here. Let's hear about it.
I mean, the thing is that Kassadin always oscillates between super OP and not worthy, not even pick worthy at any time at all. So I think it's very hard to balance. because he's just like super mobile, and that's the reason why he's good. So you either have a super mobile champion who just murders everybody, or you have a super mobile champion who doesn't do anything. I mean, that's how I always saw it. And
That's
I've
why
been
they've nerfed his R. Yeah.
yeah. So it's now what is it doing actually now? Oh right, yeah.
20 seconds.
20 seconds instead of 12 seconds. So every time you use your Rift Walk, you gain a stack on it, which increases mana costs and I think also the damage. And now it takes 20 seconds for a stack to disappear. And I think at max stacks, one additional Rift Walk costs 1,200 mana. So
Oof.
yeah. Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah, Kassadin is an interesting character you just never see, and it's a shame.
We used to see him a lot because he was so good, but you know.
Yeah,
as
he
you
was
said,
like first pick, first ban. I mean, people
Yeah.
still, like right now, still ban him. But there used to be a time where no one really cared about him existing. It's like, yep, Kassadin, useless, don't bother.
Next up, we have Kale, which is a bug. Don't know if they've fixed it already.
Probably
she's-
not, otherwise would have updated the thing, I'm sorry.
2.2 attack speed per level instead of 2.5 attack speed per level. So, I really should play Kale. I've never played her really after just really disliking her movement animation.
Stack attack speed like a crazy person,
I used to play
most of the
her
time.
a lot when I was playing a lot of top. I think she was the first one I got, really. I got Caitlyn and then I got her. Played the crap out of her.
Yeah. I had an Aatrox playing in a game the other day who stacked attack speed, and I was just sitting there going, "Is that right? I don't know if that's right."
Attack speed on Kale is the key, kinda. I mean, most
On
people just go...
Aatrox.
On Aatrox, I imagine it helps with his is it life
Is it
generation or
lifesteal?
rage generation or something like that?
Something like that.
I haven't played him for a while.
Just my cat is doing what she can to the litter as much as humanly possible right now. Okay, Cogmore. He moves slower and his R chunks champions for less. So that's kind of a wump from Cogmore there, isn't it?
The movement
it's
speed is
also-
probably the biggest problem he has. I mean, he's now super slow. I think 325 is really, really slow. So I'm curious how this will pan out. I think it probably affects lower elo players the most because they're way more not so good with their positioning, and I think higher elos probably won't care about it. Maybe. Well, they probably will care about it if they get Dove, but yeah, since the changes to all the ADC items, Kog'Maw has seen a big resurgence, along with Tristana, because of just of his, the way he scales, he's ridiculously strong. He just melts tanks. It's insane. All ADC items got reworked, and that helped him a lot, and Tristana a lot. So I think you used to pick people like what's his name? Lucian with this sort of AD casted style of play. I think he's still a good pick, but now it's back again to long range hyper scaling carries like Tristana and Kog'Maw specifically.
He is literally the long range artillery. I think it's
That's
it's
his
called
ultimate.
living
Yeah.
artillery.
I mean, I think it
nerfed as
mostly
well.
deals magic damage, but yeah, at some point you just stop doing that. I mean, I think it's more used as a kill stealing, kill secure tool, and his right clicking is actually where it's at. Because I think one of his skills is a passive that deals magic damage based upon max health of the target.
I can't tell you.
Yeah, I have him, but just for trading purposes. He's not I don't like playing him.
I was going to look into Cogmore at some point. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Lulu, her whimsy is being nerfed.
Actually, it's supposedly just a update to the tooltip.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's 1.25 to 2.25 seconds. I've never seen a Lulu. Never.
Never seen a Lulu.
Really?
She's adorable.
She's fun if you pair her with Zac as well. Then you just have a huge Zac because of her ulti. It's amazing. Get 6 Warmogs on Zac, then get Lulu to use her ulti on him, and he's just huge. He's like Godzilla or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
The thing is, she started out as a support, and I think with season 4 and the item changes, she became a really strong mid and top laner to the point where Riot said, "Okay, this is shutting down too many other choices. We have to gut her a bit." So they nerfed her in the last couple of patches, especially her slow, because it really was strong if you stacked AP on her.
okay. Chris, do you have the patch notes up in front of you?
I have them open, yeah.
We're at Maokai. Can you take over just talking about it? Because I need to go and clean up after my cat.
Oh dear. God damn it, kitty.
So I'll be back in a second.
Oh my. Well, next up is the tree, Maokai. He was reworked a couple of patches ago, and they overdid his rework. He became really strong in top lane, where I think you just built full on tank and became this sort of unstoppable force that couldn't be killed, and you just a dick to the other team. And they cut him down a notch, so his ultimate now is 10-second maximum all the time. And what it actually does is it creates a maelstrom around him and soaks up damage and stores the damage. That damage caps out at I think 250. And yeah, then when you press the button again, it detonates and returns the damage to the sender. Or everyone it sends inside. So that's now maximum of 10 seconds, and his Twisted Advanced got a bit nerfed. The magic damage, the damage component got reduced, and the ability ratio got reduced. Overall, I think he's probably still pretty strong as a top laner and as a jungler. And yeah,
And back.
That's the tree for you.
He's another one you don't see very often, or at least I don't.
Never
Yeah,
seen Maokai.
The thing is that I think at the start of season 3, tanky junglers fell out of favor, and therefore he disappeared for a long time. But with the rework, people figured out that he's actually a strong top laner now, because he's just, again, unstoppable tank force, who also has a pretty simple initiate. It's just a targeted ability. And yeah, so he has been seeing a couple of, he has been played, and I think solo queue right now still bans him because they say no, fuck that guy, fuck the tree.
Fuck that tree. Fuck the tree. Okay, now we get to the bit where I kind of cry slightly.
Oh no.
Yeah, me too, but it's the usual with her.
Morgana has been nerfed relatively considerably, especially on the E, I think. That's going to do some serious damage.
Yeah, they reduced the amount of shield, especially
Yeah,
the early levels. It's now 70 instead of 95.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just going to not save your ADC as much as you can.
Well, the thing is that there's still the spell blocked on it, and that's, I think, still pretty strong. I mean, I think she's now entering this state where she gets banned again all the time. This used to be the case in season 2 or so, or maybe season 1, where she was a really strong mid laner. And then the meta shifted and she fell out of favor for mid, but apparently now she's back as a support. So I'm curious about this because I think Syra used to be in the same position that she started out as a mid laner. Then people figured out that you can play her as a support, and played her as a support, and were very successful with her. And then Riot said, you know, if you think she is too strong in the support role, so we nerf her, and at the same time they also reduced her effectiveness as a mid mage, so you hardly see her being played mid anymore, which is a shame, but what can you do? So curious how Morgana will turn out in the future.
I don't see that many Morganas. I don't see that many. I've had like 2 Morganas in the past 2 weeks.
Did you
We
abandon
mostly ban her right now.
Well, this is in low yellow hell, so no banning there. Orianna. I like Orianna. I think she's a great character to play. They just nerfed her base damage.
It's now 41 instead of 47. It's probably will be a bit of time for a lot of people to just adjust to the change. I mean, they have her, she does bonus damage based on her AP on auto attacks. So
Yeah.
that's still there. But yeah, I think you probably, if you main here, you probably want to play 1 or 2 custom games to get used to the new values when last hitting, and then call it a day and then see where it goes from there. The thing with her is that she is really strong and kind of safe because you can just push tower and then go back and be a farm machine. And then rack up, like, I don't know, a lot of CS and then go from there.
Yep, that ball of doom.
That ball of doom, yeah, but again, you have to really learn to keep eye on where the ball is and where you are.
That micro
It's
down.
not that easy.
What?
So get the
Micro
micro
her down, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta do your blinks. You gotta get your blinks on your B button and then get ready for the Zerg. Rengar. After playing Rengar, I'm very sad about this because I don't see the point in warning people where there's a guy who's hidden. I could
Someone
understand it
who
from...
died to Rang, I'm very happy that this change came in. I mean, yeah.
What's the point in having stealth if they know where you are?
Yeah, that's pretty
Ever
dumb.
played against an Evelyn jungler?
No, because I've never seen Evelyn being played.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, oh, here I am, you're dead. Fuck you.
That's what pink rewards are for, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but also pink wards are visible to the enemy, so you place a pink ward, someone just goes by and clears it, then 100 gold is gone.
Well,
The
That was a silly change, making pink wards visible to the enemy. They need to get rid of that.
yeah, I don't really know about this. It's interesting, but okay, it makes, warring for pink wards more interesting, I guess. But the thing is, in order to properly ward against Evelyn, you have to ward her jungle camps, like Wraith probably, and maybe Wolves if Wolves is too far away. Yeah, Wraith. Most people just go and try to ward the Wraith camp and the double golems, because then you know that she's there and you can able to make a sound judgment where she might go next. At least you know that she's currently doing a camp and not just running around somewhere. This helps a lot out. So yeah, it's...
Doesn't if once she gets close to you, you can see her though, can't you?
Yeah, and if she's attacking, she also becomes visible. So you just place a regular ward near the Wraith camp, so you see the Wraith camp, and then you actually just see her doing the camp.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens to Rengar then. And you've got the head of Kha'Zix. I think it's a lovely idea they have with the rivalry between Kha'Zix and Rengar. That's
Yeah,
just
it's
a really
pretty neat.
nice. So when you play Rengar on one side and Kha'Zix on the other side, both of them have quest that if Rengar kills Kha'Zix, he gets a upgrade to his trinket bone necklace, increases his vision range while in a bush, and Kha'Zix gets an extra evolution. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think that's a nice twist on just general gameplay mechanics. It means that they have a reason to actually try something different rather than just kill everybody. And talking about the more problematic thing is his R, there's a warning indicator that now appears if Rengar is in the fog of war while stealthed. So if he's within 1,250 range of any opponent, they will be notified.
Yeah.
Avoids the
I think it
whole
used to
point
be-
of it.
Well, it's still the thing that the notification is just a exclamation mark over your head, and you still don't know actually where he is. You just know that he is there. I mean, it probably reduces the amount of it gives you probably more time until you notice this, until he shows up. But yeah, I mean, I don't jungle with him and I don't top lane with him. So you probably, I mean, I don't think it's going to change much about the way he's played. He's probably weaker for it, but I think if he gets going, he'll still be able to do what he's supposed to do, which is kill people and instill fear in them.
Can you imagine what it'd be like if every time Ricky turned up, you got a warning mark above your head? So what would be the point in playing? Well, it's a better question. What's the point in playing Ricky Maru to begin with? But you know, Ricky just wouldn't be that viable at all, even at lower levels where people aren't so used to dealing with Ricky, which is
Yeah, but I think Dota has more items that deal with stealth champions. I think you have the Dust of
Yeah.
Reveal, and you
Yeah,
have
you do.
the Gem of True Seeing. So those
that's
two
something.
things.
That's something that I think would be a much better way of doing it than having this stuff appear above your head. That works much better in my opinion. But we'll talk about Dota later because I've got my Rikimaru story from my game this morning, which was quite entertaining. Anyway, Syndra. I think I've seen Syndra played once. She's the one with the black balls, isn't she?
She's the one that floats with the black balls, yeah. She is quite strong. I think she's still pretty viable if you want to learn a mid champion. She's a bit difficult because most of her damage is reliant on combining two of her three skills together in order to do things. She's all about manipulating her own balls that she's able to create and picking up minions and throwing them around.
That's kind
And
of cool.
yeah, she's pretty neat. The joke was when she was released, no one really cared about her because the problem she has is she doesn't have a lot of range, so it's really kind of difficult for you to get into range to do your job, which is assassinate a carry. So yeah, people didn't like her at the release, but I think she has since then gained traction, and she occasionally still gets, I think, banned or picked. And the change is that her ultimate now is not dealing damage to enemies that are untargetable. So if you are Zonyaing or you are Fizz and you do your playful trickster thing, you should not receive damage from the balls anymore. And that used to happen.
That was a very stupid bug.
Yeah, it probably made her playing a bit too easy because you didn't have to properly time it.
And that brings us on to Thresh, or Pudge if you prefer. Thresh has just been a real bastard these past couple of... Every single time I've played bottom lane, there's a Thresh waiting to hook me.
Ash is pretty strong right now, yeah. I think it's just Blitzcrank 2.0. And has the slightly better kit.
That's not fair on Thresh, okay? Do not compare Thresh to that son of a bitch. I have not seen a Blitzcrank and since I laid down my law about Blitzcranks. I have not seen one. So, and that's not an invitation, Chris, for you to suddenly start playing Blitzcrank.
I'm very bad with both hook champions. You're not going to be seeing me picking them up anytime soon. And if so, I would probably pick Thresh over Blitz because Thresh has more team utility. Blitzcrank kinda doesn't.
So they've just fixed the bug with Flay, which sometimes wouldn't move opponents.
Yeah, a guy a guy on the forums and on Reddit found it and made a video out of it and provided a bunch of neat pointers as to why or how to reproduce it, and it's thinking that's the reason why there is this thanks dude small text in the patch notes. But yeah, they fixed that. Apparently they changed a little bit around with targeting. I've seen a few people complaining that right now you occasionally can't last hit properly if for instance Oriana's ball is above a minion, and sometimes you can't use active items on certain champions if something's above them. I don't know if this is going to be fixed or not.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be really annoying again and have to run off. I'll be back in a minute. Can you take over again, Chris? I'm having a really bad day.
God damn it, Kitty.
Yeah, next up is Seraph. They changed it so that the cooldown between his ultimate is essentially calling down an artillery strike. I think you get 3 or 4 shots. And what happened is that you could, by building cooldown reduction, you could reduce the cooldown time between the shots, and that has been fixed and is now a static time between each shot. So it's now 0.6 seconds all the time, and it's not affected by cooldown anymore. which means it should be easier for people to dodge his ultimate shots, and Xerath player have to actually properly put some effort into hitting people right now.
All skill.
Or scale, yeah. Any comments?
I quite liked Xerath when I played him once, but other than that, I haven't had much experience with him. You don't see him very much.
No,
Seems
he's
like this
the thing
patch
with,
is a lot of people you rarely see, which is weird.
yeah, it's interesting. Well, Xerath recently got a rework, and when he was originally released, the problem was that his problem at release was that Kog'Maw still had a rather viable AP build. So you had, as you saw, AP mid Kog'Maw, who kind of did the same than Xerath did, and so people didn't like picking him. He was actually really strong. But he had his very hard counters because back then he had to basically stun himself in order to cast some of his spells. One of his spells was basically root yourself and then gain range. Pretty much essentially he was the Terran siege tank of League. Let's put it that way, from StarCraft.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was his thing, and you had everyone that had some sort of skill shot could punish you when you rooted at the wrong time.
So they got rid of his roots then?
It's not there anymore. No, he now just, I think what is W is just now calling down some Eon cannon from the skies after a few seconds.
Weird. Quite liked his route. I mean, yeah, it made you vulnerable, but if you did it at a decent time, you could just destroy everyone.
And you gained percentage-based magic penetration, which was cute. So you could really shred a lot of people quite easily. You did really a lot of damage, but yeah, people didn't really like him. Right now, I think it's the same. You don't see him all that often. I think people call him right now as a underdog pick. If you wanna looking for a mid laner that doesn't get picked, doesn't get banned a lot, and is actually quite strong. I think he fulfills that role right now.
Well, I don't remember him having a root. I played him only recently. When did they get rid of the root?
Yeah, that was before his rework.
Okay. Weird.
They changed that, yeah.
Okay, and that leads us to Zed.
Yeah, who got a buff.
Which makes a nice change.
No, it doesn't. Really doesn't. I played against him yesterday, and he just killed everyone. It was so annoying.
I had that problem with I had that problem with Akali. Akali just wiped our team easily without even trying. It was at the end of it, you're like, well, what on earth are we supposed to do against her? Because she can teleport, she can use her smoke thing, she can. I mean, what are we supposed to do? So, anyway, Zed. They've given him some usability buffs. His death mark means he dashes behind them, and he ignores unit collision as well. Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
That's probably a pretty strong buff to him. I mean, the thing is that some people that main Zed already told sometimes that they now have to relearn the muscle memory because they always used to stand in front of people. So they occasionally miss some of their skill shots while doing it. The unit collision thing is probably huge. It probably allows him to move around more freely if he has to. Yeah, we might see more Zed in the future.
I'm inevitably waiting for the Rita Repulsor champion to go with Lord Zed. It needs to happen.
I think copyright will say no to this.
Rito Repulsor then.
Probably
call it a parody, then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Rito Repulsor.
Yeah, I think their policies on skins is a bit weird. Sometimes they at one point said, we stopped doing really weird skins because they don't fit with the champions, and now I think they're actually back to it, I think.
There's some really nice skins.
That
Gnar Dino skin. That Gnar Dino skin.
It's amazing.
Awesome. So we've got some item buffs in Twisted Treeline, Crystal Scar, and Howling Abyss, or should I say, buffs actually. Sanguine
Yeah,
Blade.
the Sanguine Blade, which is the replacement for the Bloodthirster, got buffed. More damage. The passive is up longer, but they reduced the lifesteal by 5%, which I think might be huge, depending on it. I mean, you might still just buy Blade of the Ruin King or the equivalent on the map and get your lifesteal through this.
And hopefully League installs 15% faster. And pink wards are pink again. Yay!
Yay, pink.
Let's go with Nova.
Nova. And finally, the upcoming skins part of the patch. We got an Arcade Misfortune, a Riot Kale, and of course Dino Gnar.
Hell yeah, Dino Gnar.
Which brings us very
nice.
nicely.
Sorry.
Oh, go on then.
I was just about to say about Dino Gnar skin. I think you're about to lead on to Gnar, so maybe save it.
Yep, I was just going to say, with the release of Gnar this week, who is, I assume, a Yordle? Is he a Yordle?
Yep.
A Yordle, he's really weird, but I haven't played him. I played against him, but Adam has Gnar after really grinding those IP for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay. Let's say I got it with IP.
Oh.
Let's not call upon the fact I spent money on him. Yep.
Calling
And the
on
skin,
the fact
though,
that...
so.
Okay. Tell us about Gnar, Adam.
Gnar, he is just enormously fun, really. He's got an E that makes him jump, and if you use it on a minion, he'll jump a little bit further. His Q is a boomerang. When you fire it, it does a bunch of damage and it comes back, but you have to actually catch it, or the cooldown for it is ridiculous. W is a passive that it stacks. You stack attacks on enemies, and it gives you a health boost, I believe. Could be wrong. And he has another passive that his rage generates over time. And when he reaches max rage, he becomes Mega Gnar. It's like a giant version of him, which is way more tanky and everything. His moves change a little bit. His Q becomes, he throws a boulder, or if he's in Dino Gnar skin, he throws a house.
Awesome.
A freaking house. His W isn't a passive anymore, it's a move where he kind of slams the ground and creates a kind of mini stun. His E, let me think, his jump. He doesn't bounce, but his jump does way more damage. He kind of comes down and slams everything. And his ultimate is a massive kind of swipe where he pushes everything backwards. And he's amazing, he's fun. The only issue I really have is in his mini Gnar form, he's a little bit squishy for top, I think. But I'm just bad, so.
Well, playing against Gnar, fair play, he's only been out for what, 3-4 days, so people aren't going to have a proper handle on him. But that boomerang's range is ridiculous. It goes miles.
Yeah, but sometimes it'll, when it comes back to you, it'll go in a random direction, it seems like.
That may be just a bug.
Or it could be me not knowing what I'm doing.
Could be. But I just, that's the only problem I had against when I was playing against him, is that goddamn boomerang. They just push back so far, because the amount of damage it does to you is ridiculous as well. But once he goes Mega Gnar, you're just like sitting there going, what are you going to do to me? Absolutely nothing! That's right, you're dead. Bye.
It's get quite tanky.
He may get a bit tanky, but it may be just the guy I was playing didn't have any magic defense whatsoever.
Yeah,
I just tore through him.
It's interesting, of course, that the transformation can't be triggered. It just happens if you play wrong.
You can manipulate it a little bit. When you reach 100, it doesn't do it instantly. You have a period of time where you can use a move, and it will change to the Mega Gnar move. So what you can actually do is you use his E to jump, It'll bounce off of the enemy, and then during that jump, he'll turn into Meganar and do his Meganar down. So you can get a little bit
That is
further distance than you would otherwise would with Meganar.
That's very cool. I mean, the bounce thing is really cool just to see and to begin with. And again, the guy I was playing against probably didn't quite have a full control of what he was doing, but there was a lot of really interesting stuff going on with now. It's interesting to see how much of a difference that there is between really old champions whose mechanics are very simple and straightforward, people like Syndra or Na who are just all over the place sometimes.
And Dino Nar's cool as well.
Yeah,
when you have the Dino Nar skin on and you go Mega Nar and then you press B to go back, obviously, his back animation is him smacking a helicopter out of the sky. It's amazing.
That's great. It's yeah, it's just full of character. You've got to give them credit for programming stuff like that in, and just the whole character of the game, really.
Yeah, I think that's one of its strengths over Dota 2.
Chris, do you have any thoughts about now?
Not really. We played against 2 yesterday with my Raged 5 team. One decided to go bot lane and didn't really have a big of an impact. And the other one went top, and our top laner died a lot to him. But we just all were really poor during that game, so yeah. I'm just really curious how he performs in team fights, because I think you might want to actually you want to be Mega Gnar, I guess, during team fights because of the matrix shit ton of stuns you have available when you are big. So it's interesting how this might play out and how Gnar players try to work around the fact that they have to build up rage to become big when the team fight's happening.
Yeah, it's going to take a
Be
lot
interesting.
of timing and coordination.
And the boomerang actually goes through things, doesn't it? So if you're in a team fight, you could probably actually hit more than one champion at a time with that, and it does hurt.
I'm not sure. I thought it went through stuff when I was using it, but then I checked the tooltip and it said it hits something then comes back. So I'm not sure. I swear I saw it go through stuff.
Yeah, no, so, me too. It went through minions back again. Weird.
I'll have to have a closer look, check the exact wording of the ability.
Okay. So I suppose this leads us, well, because Chris mentioned it, we might as well talk. Is this you were talking about the subreddit game you were playing, Chris?
Yeah, the League of Legends subreddit has its own smaller subreddit. They occasionally, I mean, the regular League subreddit is just all about everything you want to talk about, and this one is specifically improving and talking to Platinum and Diamond players about tips and tricks. And last week they had their first workshop games for Europe West, and I was lucky enough to get into them. It was quite nice. The thing is, of course, that they didn't have enough teachers, so it was just more general gameplay tips and tricks, what you could do and what you could not do, about when to rotate and what to do once the objective phase of the game kicks in. This week it seems that they have one game and more teachers, and it will be on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Central European Summertime, and they also have a program for North America. So if you're interested in it, check it out at r/Summoner School.
That sounds like a really good thing to have about once you actually get to the level where you actually understand what people are talking about. Opposed to me, which nicely segues into our next part of our league discussion, my game playing. Those who have been following my blog on Giant Bomb will be aware that I don't know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to playing MOBAs. And Chris and Adam have been kind enough to help me through some of the more difficult parts that I've been having. And indeed, Chris took me to task yesterday for some of my choices in gameplay, and I thought this would be a good part to go over them and give him a forum to explain why I should be doing these things and anything else that I may have any questions about. I should start off by saying that I will be uploading more League videos when I can. It just takes a long time as I have a really bad upload, about 150 kilobytes per second. So it takes me most of the night just to upload one video. I've been playing Lysandra and support Nami mostly today. Not today, this week. Chris, I know, has seen my Lysandra, and I think he's going to be helping me through with that one. Before we start that, I probably wanted to talk about support Nami a bit. You've played support Nami, haven't you, Chris?
Yeah, right now I think she's probably what I would call my main support if I want to support or have to support, and I don't know any better pick. I probably just default to her right now.
Yeah, which is my position as well. As far as support goes, probably because I've just played way too much Morgana and need a bit of a change. And I'll probably rotate Soraka in at some point once I get a bit more familiar with Nami. I was looking at LOL King, probably not the best places to look, but I don't know anywhere else. And somebody's written a fantastic guide for support Nami. And she brought up, the writer, I believe it's a she, brought up a bunch of things that I wouldn't even thought of. The obvious one being, of course, on my first back, playing support, I will buy a Sightstone, as you drummed into me back in the day. I never ever thought to switch out my trinket for the red trinket. I mean, it's obvious now that somebody's pointed it out to me, because of course you can't have more than 3 stealth wards at once. But I never would have thought of it until it got pointed out. Which is a bit dumb of me, isn't it?
Yeah, the reason why you pick the reveal trinket is simply because you wanna deny the opponent vision. So if you see them ward, you can just walk over if the time is right and kill the ward, and then apply pressure to them that way. Because I just wasted the ward charge.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. That's one of my that became obvious once I realised that that's what you're supposed to do. Another thing which I knew, but I didn't really take into consideration as much, was the fact that it's probably better to target your ADC, for instance, with the heal, because you'll get a better range in poking the other team, because it will bounce from the ADC to the other team if they were within range, rather than just attacking the other team and hoping the heal will bounce to the ADC.
It's always, yeah, that skill is interesting. I think it's probably one of the better made skills in terms of how to heal people, because it just bounces between enemies and allies. Enemies and allies. And
it can do a ton of damage.
Yeah, you have to really take into consideration, what do I want right now? Do I want to poke or do I want to heal? And I think that's pretty neat. It gives you this sort of choice that you have. Whereas Soraka is just like, it's a pointed heal, you just point at them and say, be healed, and then it's done. So yeah,
which they're going to be changing
nice.
very soon.
Yeah,
they're going to be changing Soraka.
Yeah, they've plonked up to be reworked apparently. Yeah, Starfall is going to go away and instead become some weird skill that you use to charge your heal up. I think it's what they're trying to do right now with it.
Sad, but there you go. Top lane Soraka was, pretty impressive, wasn't it, Adam?
Yeah, it's
not bad. She survived, at least.
Yeah, more than we did.
Not sure how much of an impact she actually had, but she survived.
Then, looking at the E, I came to realise that the E is something you want to have on yourself or your ADC as much as possible, especially if you're going to be using your bubble, because you can get at least 2 auto attacks off, which will do a ton of damage if you're lucky to whoever's in that bubble.
Yeah, I think one of the basic tricks or tips you can give to people who want to learn here is that it's easier to hit your bubble, which lifts people up and keeps them in air for a short time, if you attack them or they get attacked with someone that has the E on it, because it's a slow, so they can't move as fast and you have a easier time landing your Q.
And the R is just the best thing in the universe. The amount of times I've killed people just by plonking an R down. I mean, one of the games I played, I had 33 support kills, just probably through using the R repeatedly.
It's a nice engage and disengage, yeah. It's pretty neat.
A wonderful thing, especially when people don't expect it to come, or you get them in the jungle and they have nowhere to go. So yeah, Nami is something I'm learning. Pushing the bubble down is very difficult sometimes, especially in the middle of a hectic game, because trying to keep track of where Katarina is going to jump, or one of the teleporting people is going to jump at any second, and you unfortunately miss the bubble and they kill your teammate, can be a real
I would probably save the ultimate as tool to interrupt her ultimate, not rely on the bubble.
I was just using her as an example. But
Okay.
yeah, I got into quite a heated discussion in inverted commas with a Vladimir who was playing mid, who pretty much blamed every single thing that went wrong on me, which is rather entertaining.
Sounds like a mid player.
Yeah, he just, why didn't you listen to me? They're over here. Why did you do that? It's just like, dude, I'm just trying to play the game, and we're all trying to play the game. It really, I suck, yes, especially if I'm playing an ADC, which I'm not doing at the moment. But God, you should have seen my graves. But God, just chill out. The world won't come to an end just because you lose a game of League. Come on now.
I mean, you can't prove that.
It's true, I can't prove that. And also, Vladimir, of all people, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm just going to turn into a bunch of blood and run away. Great, thanks, bro. Of all people to, complain about. Next is going to be Akali saying, oh, look how many kills I've got. Yeah, well, you can teleport to kill them. It's... Which I also had this week as well, actually. Which is always nice. So moving on to my Lissandra gameplay, which full up, I wasn't entirely with it, but there were some very important things which I think Chris would be best explaining himself, especially about targeting and itemization. So Chris, do you want to take over on that?
Yeah, well, what do you want to hear first?
I
Well,
want to hear about the Teemo that's trolling you. By the way, the match you're talking about is playing on the stream right now, so...
Excellent, so yeah. You might want to mute my voice then, because I do get quite good.
But this Teemo is... What is he doing?
Oh, good, it's not just me. Jesus, that Teemo is a hell of a player at the end there. He brings it all back. So Chris, let's start with target prioritization.
Yeah, I think if you watch the video, you had top lane Lissandra and Teemo against a Riven, and later up there's supposedly jungler shows up to just lane with the Riven. And what happened most of the time was that the jungler, goddammit, what's his name? Walking submarine guy. Nautilus just engages onto you, so he's like does his hook and stands in front of you, and then you proceed to cast all your spells on him and chunk him down to half health. Meanwhile the Riven just walks up and kills both of you and laughs her face off because of it.
Well, my argument on that one would be that Teemo should bloody well be blinding Riven. Though I completely agree that I shouldn't have been attacking the level 2 tank at the time. You're quite right on that one. But Teemo could have given me a bit of help on that. But either. And you're right, always go for the one who's going to hurt you most rather than...
Again, it depends on the situation. In this particular time, focusing the Riven would have been the better choice. Sometimes you might want to really stun their initiation in order to prevent their initiation, but I think most of the time you did your spells after he went through his rotation, like ultimate and the hook, and then just auto attack. So there was actually no real reason for you to attack him anymore, because he has done his job at that point was actually done, and then you helped him being relevant by actually focusing him. because that's
it's the
kind of
first
what a tank
time I've
wants.
seen Nautilus. I've never seen him before in my life, so I
Yeah,
wouldn't know what his rotation was.
Again, general tip I think is also that you occasionally check tab and see what is he building. Is he building full blown tank? Then there's a high chance he's not going to do much in terms of DPS.
Yep.
So
Yep,
you can
that's
probably
a fair play.
safer at ignoring him. Whereas the Riven I think went with the standard Riven build and just proceeded to wreck
Well,
your face.
Well, to be fair, we still won.
Yeah, you won because Teemo split pushed bottom lane and the enemy team decided not to give a shit about that because they were stupid.
Yes, that was quite funny.
Yeah, it's interesting of course because I think your team at some point did something right because you just I think stalled out the middle lane push a little bit so Teemo could go split push.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think it was chance more than anything else on that one.
And if the other team like the Fizz would have gone to actually duel Teemo, it would have probably been different.
Which
But
apparently he was level 30, which is weird.
Yeah, it's interesting that he didn't understand that he should probably go and prevent the split push, because they had what? Master Yi and Quinn? No, you had Quinn.
We had Quinn, yeah.
You had Quinn Ashe bottom lane, best bottom lane.
Well, yeah. It depends what they build.
Yeah, they had Jinx and Master Yi bottom lane, so it doesn't really change much. But yeah, both of those Yi and Jinx probably have a harder time against the dueling Teemo because of the blinding dart. So I guess Fizz would have been the best choice to just go in, get rid of Teemo, and then join the fight again as 5 versus 4. Because I think even if Fizz wouldn't be with his team, they had the better team composition with Nautilus, who just can initiate pretty strong. Also has a strong initiate, and Riven was in a good spot. I think Jinx was doing also well, and you didn't really have that much tanks. And your penchants for just Ring whatever's closest to you wasn't also not helping.
Well, it's difficult to R things when they're not in your vicinity, and I was trying to keep everybody alive. At that point, I was playing more support than anything else. Purely because I just was sucking. I mean, I will completely agree the fact that I sucked badly in that game. You can't be on point every single fucking time you play a game. It just doesn't
I
happen.
lost 2 games yesterday as well, so, and we got stumped pretty hard, so yeah, I know what you mean, but still, if you are in the situation where the enemy tank is initiating onto you and stands in the middle of your team, there's probably no real reason for you to deal with him, because if you're Lissandra, because as a mage at some point you lack the scaling capability to deal with tanks that stack magic resistance and health. You just can't fight against it anymore. You don't deal enough damage to chunk them down.
Which is I completely. In the last 3 games I've played, I've actually seen people do that, and I've come to understand it's the dumbest thing to do. Is the first person you initiate is not the tank, and they will just straight up go for the tank, and you're just sitting there wondering why they're doing that when
sometimes it is a good idea to kill the tank. It depends what champion you are. There are certain rules, but sometimes you have to ignore the rules in who to focus and who not to focus. If you're an ADC and the tank is the closest to you, you can probably attack the tank unless there's something else for you to attack. It's always, I think as an ADC, it always boils down to what is the safest thing I can attack? I'm going to attack that, period. Because you as an ADC want to stay alive and deal the damage as possible by being alive and right-clicking. Whereas as a mage, most of the time it's more instantly. The way the damage you deal, you're more bursty.
Yeah, it's something that I'm gonna have to learn through experience rather than expecting to know it all at once.
Yeah, that's experience by playing the game, I'm afraid. And of course, buying an hourglass would actually help instead of only buying half of it and then proceed to buy 2 different items.
I can't remember what the 2 items I bought were.
You bought Morello's and a...
So I was trying to get my cooldown down.
Alessandria.
And I was trying to get my magic penetration up, okay. As opposed to getting a 100 AP, yep. and the Hourglass ability to turn
The thing
myself
is that
gold.
you have this problem that I think once laning phase ends and you get into the team fight objective phase, it's harder for you to make money to buy super expensive items. So
Okay.
you delaying the Hourglass probably meant that you could not buy the Hourglass in a very quick time frame, and you having the capability of getting in the middle of the enemy team, W, R someone, press the Hourglass to stay alive a little bit longer, would have probably helped your team a bit more than just, getting down your own cooldowns down and then getting magic penetration through Leandri's Torment. I mean, Leandri's Torment is a good item on her because I think most of her spells do slow people, so you get the burn. But yeah, I think Hourglass at that point would have been the better choice for team fighting.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind next time. I will. It is right to go for the Seeker's brace or whatever it is called.
From what I
Armbar, Seeker's
recently
armbar.
learned, buying Seekers first is the better choice because you gain, by just CSing in lane, you gain stacks which are helpful to you. So yeah, getting Seekers first is most of the time the better choice. Yeah. Also, you play against the Riven who deals a lot of physical damage. So yeah, armor
Yep.
item first is a good choice.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll keep that in mind. That's itemization and target priority. Was there anything else?
No, just continue to have fun and try not to get overly salty over teammates. It doesn't help. It really doesn't help.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't help. It's one of the problems when you record and you forget that you're recording. It's just yeah. I probably say a lot more than I actually think because it just comes out. But yeah, there's a great video of Total Biscuit actually that's doing the rounds of one of his recent matches where he's playing Pudge. Think I'm salty. You should watch that.
I've watched it yet,
ooh.
yeah, I've seen him posting a bunch of Dota videos now.
Oh, that video is a hell of a thing, especially as he's playing Pudge. It's just consistent swearing non-stop. It's edited that way, but
Yeah.
he gets Pudge versus Razor. Must be, must be a hell of a thing for somebody to deal with. Right. Okay. So I think we've covered everything in League. Has anybody else got anything to mention in the League stakes?
I hate Zed.
Okay. Right. It might be worth actually just picking a champion. I was going to suggest two of the ones which are on sale at the moment. Mal, and Fiora, and just talk about them briefly, talk about their abilities and matchups, and where they're best played. So, Chris, do you want to talk about that? Or
Okay, yeah. Probably Adam can chime in as well. I guess we start with Mr. Malzahar. The thing with him is that he has a very strong laning phase because his spells are very good at generating lots of money through lots of last hits. I mean, his first ability is some form of gate. So you basically place down the indicator, and after a few seconds, a line appears and deals damage and silence people that are inside the area of effect. His W is a puddle like Morgana that deals damage based on max health, and his E is it's basically the form of a void virus, and if the unit that is afflicted by it dies, it jumps to the next unit, and that's how he's able to just CS really well, because you just auto farm, you just go AFK farm and push waves all the time and get all the CS and get all the money through it. His ultimate is, most people, I call it, he's vomiting onto someone. He's establishing a tether between him and his target, and he suppresses the target and himself in the process and deals damage over time. It's a channeling spell that can be interrupted that way. The problem is that while his laning phase is really strong, his team fighting is difficult because A, he doesn't really have a lot of range, and B is that when he uses ultimate, he is suppressing himself and his target. So you basically turn a 5v5 into a 4v4 or similar depending on who's there the team fight. And the problem with that is apparently is, I checked it on the LoL wiki, is if you cleanse the suppress, he is still suppressed himself, so you end up in a situation where the guy might just buy one item, Quicksilver Sash, that allows you to cleanse that allows you to cleanse suppressors and stuns and snares, and you essentially just use the ultimate. You still deal the damage though, but the suppress is not there anymore. I think the same happens if you buy Banshee's Veil, which protects against one spell, and if you're unlucky, you might not be able to. You misclick and try to ultimate the guy with the active Banshee's Veil, which leaves you high and dry. I have him. I occasionally played him in the past, but team fights are so difficult with him. It's so annoying. He's one of the few mages that actually can attack tanks because of his W, which is deals damage based on health. But yeah, he's just very difficult in that regard. And I would not really recommend it to people who just start playing the game. If you want to learn him, have fun, but there are champions that have an easier time learning and then subsequently post good results in winning the game and feeling good about winning the game and learning how to be better at the game than picking Malzahar. I think most
Like
matchups...
Twisted Fate?
Is
No.
Malzahar
Who I
the one
started
with the pet, isn't he? The little void
Yeah,
walker
his
thing.
passive is that he generates a Voidling pet after a few times he casts his spells.
Yeah, I tried him in jungle once, and I found him quite fun actually. He seems very situational though.
You can jungle with him, yeah. I think most of his matchups for mid, I think, are pretty easy. Though he probably might have problems against people that are able to push back as fast as he is. So I think, let's see, I guess mid Kale would probably poop on him, and assassins might as well, because he is one of these mid laners that has no escape. His only escape is actually flash and warding properly. So if your flash is down and you haven't warded properly, ganking you is pretty easy, because his silence is a skill shot that has a delay on it. So if you're unlucky and you miss it, you're probably going to die.
I think he could be quite good in the right setup though.
Probably is, but I don't really remember ever seeing him in competitive play. Again, I think it's the team fight that's the difficult part of him, and the fact that most of his spells don't have a large range, so you have to get in rather closely. So most people build him a bit tankier, so that they are able to get the rotation out before they perish. So yeah, Rod of the Ages I think is one of his first items he might want to get. I think there's a build path out there that goes Rod of the Ages first and then straight up Magic Pen and damage.
Okay, excellent. That's exactly what I was looking for. And do you want to do Fiora, or do you want to just move on?
God damn it, Fiora.
Well, okay, Adam, what's your opinion on Fiora then?
I don't like her. She's annoying. she dashes about
How do you-
everywhere.
Okay.
I've never actually played her, I've only played against her, and I just hate her.
I played her
Passion.
once, and it was the most embarrassing game I have ever played of anything ever. I was jungling with her, and it just went horribly wrong. But that was like my third game that I ever played, so to be expected. So, Chris, Fiora.
Yeah, top laner, and I think she has a pretty strong snowball potential, what I've seen. So if she gets ahead, she's able to make a lot of it. I think she's similar into what Master Yi does in terms of kit and playstyle. This sort of mobile assassin type champ that whose target is to just go in and murder someone, maybe two people, and then get out or die.
The Feral Flame stacks are probably a good idea on her then.
If you jungle with her, probably I would recommend that you actually pick her for top lane if you really want to learn her. I think that's where she's supposed to go, where you want to go with her first. Feral Flare is I don't really like the item actually. I don't like the item. I don't like the playstyle it encourages, which is sort of disappear in the jungle and farm up, and then at some point just pop out and murder everybody when you're strong enough. Because if the other team has a jungler that is more about ganking, then it puts a bit of strains on each lane that you have to try your best to not get behind. And you don't have the safety net of a jungler, you might be able to pull on pressure on other lanes. So yeah, that's the reason why I don't really like Feral Flare. Also, its damage I think is magic damage, and I don't know, it's like why do you want to... I mean, it's nice to have it, but you don't really itemize for magic damage as Fiora or Yi.
I've just had lots of people say, "Oh, Yi has to take, Wiggle's Lantern to get Feral Flare or whatever it is."
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense for him, because he's just so fast with clearing. But yeah, I don't like Yi, Master Yi jungle as well.
I don't like Master Yi support, which I had 3 times yesterday.
It's a kill lane, you gotta get kills.
It was just, why are you playing? You're not supporting anybody. Okay, I suppose that brings us to the end of our league segment then, unless anybody has anything else to mention. Nope.
Adam hates Zed.
Fiora.
I hate Zed.
You hate Zed.
That
yeah,
game yesterday was so annoying though. We killed all 4 of his teammates and he shows up and just kills us all. Every one of us.
That's about right.
And we weren't even...
Didn't you know?
We were fairly decent on health and he just comes in, everyone's dead.
Didn't you know? There's a reason for that. He's a ninja.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be able to do it to 5 of us. With relatively good health.
Ninja.
Not Space Ninja though, so it's not that cool.
What, you're skipping ahead a bit there. Okay, so let's do our Dota minute, probably at this rate.
Yep.
Apparently, I'm the only person who's actually played Dota recently. I played a game this morning. I played somebody who I seem to be referring to as Ice Maiden these days, but I played Crystal Maiden in support. Is support Dota a thing? I don't know. I haven't played Dota for so long that I didn't
It
actually
is a thing,
know
yeah. There are
what I was doing.
support heroes.
I didn't know what I was doing anymore. It was really interesting, actually. There's a lot that I've taken from League that helps me understand what's going on in Dota much more than I did before, at least the last time I played it. I'll be putting a video up, and I'm sure people look at it, roll their eyes, and say, "What is he doing?" and "Why is he doing this?" and Chris, stop getting so salty with your teammates, especially when I've got a Luna who's in the lane with me, of all people. Couple of things I did notice. I after trying to learn where to place wards in League, I'm not entirely sure where to place them for the max efficiency in Dota. I tend to just ward the river as much as possible. So
Early game, I think early game you're supposed to provide vision to the runes.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, the river. Warding,
Well, you don't really
warding the river.
Where do you put it, in the river or
No,
on the ledge
no,
above
on
the river?
On the ledge above the river.
Yeah, that's right then.
I think they actually helped you there with the map because there are these weird glyphs on the ground, and I think that's where you're supposed to place the wards.
Yeah.
That's lucky that I've been doing that then. Oh, that's good. And then just dealing with Luna, who played a really strange game. She kept not last hitting. She didn't last hit at all until she managed to get her glaive a higher level. And then we had Ricky turn up, which is always hilarious, because the first thing I do when Ricky turns up is buy a bunch of blue wards and vision dust and just kill him. And it got to a state where I was out tanking both Ricky and I think it's Necrophos or whatever, as Crystal Maiden. That was rather entertaining.
Yeah, you understand how to stop pop stamp heroes.
Yep. It was a good game. We had a really good Pudge who just kept cooking every single thing that came mid and slaughtering them. And then we had a really good Templar Assassin who just waded through everything and just, as you can imagine, killed them. it was definitely those two guys who carried the game. It was me trying to learn how to play the game again. I did go on a pretty big bitch session, I have to say, regarding the shops and the whole item building part, because it just pisses me off having to go to three different shops.
Set up one of those player guides you can
Oh
set
yeah,
up?
no, yeah. Even then, having to go to the secret shop and then having to go to the other shop and then having the courier bring the shit to you because you're in the middle of the thing. You can't teleport back to base by pressing B, so you have to buy teleport scrolls, and then your teammate doesn't buy teleport scrolls, so she spends half an hour walking back to the damn lane. You know, the usual.
You can send your donkey to the secret shop. To buy
As
stuff for you.
Yeah, but other people need it just as much as I do. Apart from that, playing Crystal Maiden, it was good. I have to start using Blink, the Blink dagger. I don't know how useful it is with Crystal Maiden, but it was obvious that the amount of initiation that Blink gives you and escape is similar to Flash, and I think it's a bit more important.
It's way
than
better than Flash.
Dota. Yeah, well,
There's
way better
such a
than Flash
lower
because there's
cooldown.
exactly, and I think it's a lot more important in Dota than it is actually in League because of just the way things move in Dota in comparison.
It's good fun
After my cats again.
to just kill stuff, especially with Earthshaker. Throw off your Q, blink in, ulti, everything is dead. It's pretty fun. And who else uses it? Bat Rider, you can use that to jump on him, pull off your ulti, drag him around in your fire. That's good. It's always good.
It was. I had a lot more appreciation for Dota after actually playing that game this morning than I did before going into it again, because apart from completely forgetting what all the characters are and what they do, and apart from Dragon Knight, because how can you mistake what Dragon Knight does? It was just educational. Not a lot, no. It was educational. It was fun, and I think we should probably play some Dota at some point and make some videos.
Yay, I'm so bad at this game.
Can't be worse
Probably
than me at
all
League.
are.
Yeah. So we can all be bad together, which is far more entertaining than one of us being really good and the rest of us being terrible. Speaking of being terrible, let's move on to our third topic of conversation. I promise we'll do more on Dota when we actually get more into it. Warframe, which all three of us have been hitting really, really hard this week. So much so that I am kind of burnt out on Warframe already. I hit my level of Warframiness, I think, last night when it was just Sean, myself, and Chris just sitting there going, "What are we going to do?" I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do?
Yeah, it did seem a bit. It seemed a bit like all of you really were just a bit. What should we do? I was just like, do anything. It's fun. I don't care.
I was still waiting for my Nyx to finish, and I think she's probably finished by now, hopefully. So I might pop in later and have a look at my new Warframe. But the big news recently, I suppose, is the new player experience, or whatever they're calling it, which came in with the new patch, which you get a full intro system of game. For those who don't know what Warframe is, because I'm going to assume you know what Dota and League of Legends are, considering you're breathing. Warframe is a third-person shooter/slasher based around Diablo-type random generation and loot tables.
Shall I tell you what I called it in my video? Hang on, I get the notes. Third-person action shooter, stealth, pet simulating, loot dropping, space ninja game with crafting.
With crafting. Yes, that covers everything, I think. Does it cover everything? Random generated dungeons. But yeah, it's a free-to-play game. Hence one of the reasons why we call this free to play.
Can Cabaret.
which Cabaret. Still haven't had a musical number yet. We should work on that. Where you just run around and shoot stuff. Essentially, it's Diablo in third person as opposed to isometric. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the best way of describing it.
And the
made by
far
Dish-
distant future.
In the year 2020,
Is it
where
distant
mankind
future?
is.
Or is it just so far away in our space system that don't know about it yet? Like Star Wars.
I think it takes place in our solar system, but I think
wait.
at some point they said it's like several thousand years after the events of that other game we made.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Wait, what?
made by Digital Extremes, who made Dark Sector, which a lot of the stuff that is in Warframe is taken directly from Dark Sector. Lotus, Tenno, Glaives, the shooting, melee combat to a degree. A lot of it is essentially Dark Sector 2.0. It doesn't mean it's not fun though. I mean, Dark Sector is I will say a better than average game, though it has serious faults. I'd say Warframe as a free-to-play game is pretty good, as long as you don't overdo it, in my case. So yeah, this new player experience. Adam, what do you think of it?
It was pretty great at setting me up for the game because I came back after playing about an hour in beta, came back and ran through the new tutorial. It kind of gets you set up with some newbie weapons, and because they're called Mark 1 basically, and they're like the ones you can buy, but not as good. It's just there to get you set up in the game really. And it provides a little bit of lore with Vor and the Grineer and all that, which I'm
Good old
actually
Vor.
not that sure on. Now that I mention it, I really need to look into the lore. And it gives
Space
you a bunch
ninjas,
of
bro.
quests to kind of show you how to progress on planets and different kinds of missions and that. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, those missions, they're really hit and miss. Some of them are really fun, and some of them are just freaking terrible.
Yeah, capture sucks. Hate capture.
Mobile defense is pretty terrible too, especially when the levels bug out and you can't get the key to where it's supposed to go.
I don't mind mobile defense.
As long as the levels don't bug out, it's fine. But I've had the levels bug out on me more than once.
That happens in every mode though.
Speaking of which, I think even after this game being publicly playable for about 2 years, because I played in beta about a year and a half ago, it's still in beta. It's madness. It still hasn't been fully released, as far as I understand.
I'm not sure. I mean, on Steam it says this is the final release, but I heard it referred to as a beta, so I don't know. You're better off just asking or going on the website and seeing what it says there. It certainly doesn't feel
either
like
way-
a beta.
I think it doesn't. I mean, they've only just put in a goddamn new player experience.
Okay, now it doesn't then.
It's certainly an interesting game. Much of it is wave based, as when it comes down to leveling individual items. Because unlike Diablo, you actually level or gain affinity with items, which allows you to put mods in, which makes those weapons more powerful. Which is a major part of the grinding, because God Almighty is there grinding in this game.
So much
Grinding to get mods.
money
Grinding to get new weapons, grinding to get money,
to get an egg.
grinding to get an
get
egg
helmets.
which never dropped, or to get helmets because that's the only thing that's going to drop when you try and get a new Warframe. There's a lot that's irritating about the game, but it somehow manages to save itself just purely through the gameplay, because the different types of Warframe are different enough to make it interesting. You have very similar archetypes to your average RPG. You've got your ninja Warframe, which I suppose is Ash rather than Excalibur, which is the basic Warframe. And I'd say Excalibur is the standard warrior Warframe.
It's pretty much there to kind of get people into the game with a rounded set of abilities. Personally, I don't really like his kit. It's too much
Yeah,
all
kinda
over the place.
sucks.
The best part of him is his radial blind that stuns enemies. That's probably his best thing. It's just that I think he's probably one of the oldest frames in the game, and I think he suffers from where the game went in terms of damaging abilities and where they stand. Because 2 of his spells are about damaging people. And the 3rd one is some selfish utility.
Super jump.
It's a jump, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
you
understand
get-
why that's there.
And then you get characters like Rhino, who is
yes.
Adam's weapon of choice, who is
boy.
just the super tank. Yeah, which literally he can take. You can walk into the middle of a fight and take about 2% damage through the whole game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he has an
Um,
iron skin, which is really cool. Just makes him invulnerable for a certain amount of damage, and then once the iron skin's gone, you just put it on again because you have enough energy now. So you just run around not taking any damage. Pretty great.
As long as you remember to level it up.
Yeah.
Because that was a new thing for me to get used to, that the mods also include your abilities, and back in the day you didn't level up your abilities. So now you have to use other mods, or fusion cores, or just cash, or you're going to need cash, whatever. Credits, I should say, to level up your abilities. I usually use my level 30 Volt, who electrocutes everything, or my level 30 Ember, who, as one might suggest, burns everything. Both have different applications. Ember's better when you're fighting somebody like the Infested, because they take extra fire damage, and Volt's pretty good against the Corpus, who are a bunch of
Assholes.
weird-looking, yes, a bunch of arseholes, weird-looking techno freaks who have tons of turrets and tons of cameras and tons of god-awful shield bot things.
Yeah.
And they take extra damage from electricity and ice. Apparently makes magnetism. I'm not quite sure how that works as a status effect, but there you go. And I'm currently building a Nyx, which is a completely different type of Warframe. Chris, can you run down what makes Nyx so different?
So far you only played direct damage frames, and Nyx is more about crowd control. She's probably, from a scaling perspective, she is the best frame in the game, because all of her skills are about CCing and preventing the enemy from doing something. And no matter how high or how dangerous the enemy is, it always works. Okay, bosses, I think I'm immune to it, but basically her first skill is mind control, so you can convince a guy to be your friend for a short period of time. He then proceeds to attack his former friends. Most people don't pick the second one. It's her only direct damage ability, and it's just a bunch of weird looking bolts fly out of her and deal insignificant damage. I think it's really, really low, and it doesn't really apply any form of status effects. So it doesn't really offer any synergy with her other skills, so most people just never pick it and format the slot away in order to slot something else in. Her third ability is called Chaos. It's a AoE that essentially everybody in the vicinity goes mad and attacks whatever's closest to him. It might still be you if it's the closest one, but most of the time infighting against in the enemy ranks will occur if you chaos them, which is the reason why people want to have her in teams and generally as a frame, because of chaos. It's her bread and butter skill. And her fourth skill is Absorb. She essentially enters into a bubble, and if enemies attack the bubble, the bubble stores the damage, and once you are happy enough with the damage you absorb, you press your button again, and the damage gets reflected back to the enemies in a radial area. Not directly one-on-one, but it's just like, an AoE explosion from centered around her. And damage enemies, and that's Nyx in a nutshell.
So I will be leveling her up starting probably tomorrow or later today, and I'll be doing a video series on that if I can get stuff working properly. So hopefully I'll be able to post that in the thread which will be accompanying this podcast. But yeah, Chris, do you have any thoughts about Warframe as a whole?
It went through a lot of iterations, and for me, some of it changed. I don't know what it is actually. It's either it's this underneath feeling that you have. It really changed from like closed beta to the beginning of open beta to now. I still like it, and it's okay. I'm curious where they're going with it. I mean, today is Friday. What's it today? 15th, and today they have a live stream because they're at Gamescom in Germany, and they've planned a live stream for later today, and apparently they wanna talk about the future of the game at that point.
Featuring Adam's favourite Megan.
Oh, Megan. Megan.
Yeah.
Megan. Let me tell you about Megan. She's beautiful. She has red hair, tattoos on her whole upper arm. She's beautiful. Sorry,
Okay.
where are we? Warframe, right?
Yeah, my problem with Warframe is it's much grindier than I actually anticipated originally. The grind is pretty tough. I'm not used to overly grindy stuff compared to Diablo. I don't think Diablo can be said to be that grindy compared to Warframe.
Do you think it feels like a grind though? Because I
Yes,
don't.
yes.
Because it's just fun to play, so I don't really consider it a grind.
Grind, especially when the stuff that you grind, Warframes. If you want more than one Warframe, you're going to end up probably having to pay for the extra slots, and those two things together really make me twitch.
And I think your problem specifically was the drop rates for frames, which is also what I don't really like. And I'm kind of happy that with Mirage, the latest edition, they changed a little bit how you acquire her. And I guess I'm repeating myself from last week, but I really hope that future frames will be handed out like Mirage has been, i.e. you do the grinding beforehand, and then once you're done with that part, they just hand you over the parts and say thank you very much, instead of doing the same boss 50 times for that last thing you're missing in order to build her.
Well, how many times did we do with those bosses to get all the parts? I mean, fair enough, we got helmets tons of times, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was funny rather than annoying.
Yeah, but again, I think that if you do the same guy for the 20th times,
Yeah.
something changes in how you appreciate the game, I'd say.
And it also it's clear in the way that people, when you play public games, they just rush. They just go straight to the boss,
Yeah,
finish it, and
they
rush
do.
back. They have no interest in actually playing the levels, which says a lot, I suppose, about the game as a whole, because they're just there to loot and run. If you
Yeah,
don't take the time to enjoy what you're doing, fine.
Poke around and find the secrets that are in the level. Some of the tile sets do have quite interesting secrets you can poke around with and find.
Like what?
Like, let's see, there are the Void Towers. They have a few secrets. They have some endurance runs, some obstacle courses you can run to get there. They're quite neat. Then on Earth, the Earth tile set, there are a few hidden areas you can poke your head in and find out. And the same goes for the Ice Planet.
Are there any Easter eggs in any of these places?
No, but around Easter, most of the time they have Easter-themed things running around, so you can look forward to Easter next year.
I was thinking more like a tribute to Arthas, the Death Knight, on the Ice Planet or something.
No, nothing like that. No.
Well, it's. I mean, I think after playing about 20 hours of Warframe this week, as opposed to what was it, 1,058 hours that you've put into it, Chris? I'm surprised. As I've mentioned before, I've got a friend who's put about 2,000 hours into Dota, so I don't know how people manage this, but
I think
it must be fun.
if you listen to the latest Giant Bomb cast from this Tuesday, I think Dan Reichert or Jeff Gersman called Diablo.
Someone
Thanks,
let
dog.
Kubro in.
But my Kubro! I don't know. What's with my Kubro? I don't know
I
what's
think
going
they-
on. I better give me half a second. Oh Christ!
Goddamn Kubro. What did they do?
Podcast, the Animal Edition.
The dog show. It's the free to
Dog
dog
show
cabaret.
and the kitty litter.
Yeah. The farm, life on the farm.
For God's sake, help! Never work with animals or children.
Tend to.
Oh,
Or preschool teachers.
oh, jeez. Just everything falls apart as soon as I move. Typical. Sorry about that. I'm having one of those days. Luckily, it's the last one. Everybody's back tomorrow. It's been a bloody long week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It always is.
I've only had
um,
about 10 hours sleep.
But yeah, as during the last Giant Bomb cast, I think it was regarding Diablo 3, they established this sort of a podcast game where you queue up a podcast and then go in the back, let it run in the back, and play the game and listen to the podcast. Primarily.
that's-
So Warframe kinda is this for me. This sort of I got an hour to kill. There's this podcast, so I guess I do this and listen in while I'm running around and slashing unfriendly people.
I do the same thing when I go to the gym. That's when I listen to the podcast. I use my excuse of going to the gym to listen to podcasts.
Hey, that's a good excuse.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we spent a hell of a long time on League, but that's because there were quite a few patch notes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I suppose this is the winding down of the show. Is there anything else anybody
Wait.
wants to talk about? Oh, wait, what
There
are we
is
waiting
one
for?
more free to play game we kind of skimmed over here. And I'm really ashamed of you for doing it. Yesterday, launched on iOS and Android, WWE Supercard.
Oh, it's the wrestling. At
It's
last.
amazing.
Okay. I
Best
don't
game.
have.
Do you remember Top
I-
Trumps?
Yes.
It's like
I'm
that with
aware of Top
wrestlers. And you can
I-
level up your
my- I-
cards.
I have a 3GS, so I doubt it will work on my
It
3GS.
might. It's just card game. It's not gonna.
Oh, everything's always iOS, whatever, 4S or above. I can't play Infinity Blade 3, so
I have. I'll tell you what
that's-
cards I have. Hang on. Because this is going to be the best part of the podcast. Most interesting part.
you following this? You following this, Chris?
Yeah, Danny Riker is invading the podcast.
My team right now. I'll tell you my team. I've got super rare The Rock. I've got a
Okay.
rare R-Truth. I've got a rare Kofi
Uh,
Kingston.
I have no idea who these people
A
are.
rare Bray Wyatt. And an uncommon
Right.
Eva Marie. I don't know why she's in here. She's useless.
I didn't
and
know
I'm-
they did women wrestlers.
I'm currently 50 wins for 8 losses. So if you want to know anything about WWE Supercard, I'm the one to ask, really. I'm
Can
going
you smell
professional,
what The Rock
actually.
is cooking?
Yes.
What
I
is he
always wondered
cooking?
what that was a euphemism for.
I have no idea.
Because he was
I remember
spoke
that
about
he.
poontang pie as well. It's like, are you talking about poontang? Say you
I-
smell of poontang.
I know that he put out that single, and
with
that's
Wycliffe
about it.
Jean. Or Wycliffe
Possibly,
Jean.
I'm pretty sure it's Jean, but okay. So, would you say that this game was very good?
I'd say it kept me up till 4 AM this morning. So maybe No, I mean, no, it's not good. It's terrible. But I like clicking cards and watching them wrestle. Because the cards
they actually
actually
wrestle?
kind of, yeah, they wobble down the ramp to the ring, and then they'll like they power bomb each other. Just cards. They don't have arms or anything. It's amazing.
Huh. That does sound like a thing. I have
And
to say.
sometimes they'll jump on a turnbuckle and they'll kind of wiggle, and then jump
Sounds
off.
like the proper way of dumb. Like the proper way of dumb.
It is.
So,
It's amazing.
So what you're saying is we should have been talking about this the whole time rather than League.
Yeah, I can tell you right. What you want
Okay.
to do is because the way it works is you don't actually fight other players. You fight their decks, like AI controlled versions of their decks. So you want to trick
Okay.
people. You want to use a common card as your avatar, so they don't know what you've got, and they come into the fight not knowing you've got, say, a super rare the rock, and your power and charisma is going to be really high, so they don't prepare for that.
Your charisma.
Yeah. The cards have stats. They have power, speed, toughness, and charisma, and you can level them up.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. Charisma.
Game of the week.
I'm waiting for the Kanuku Man version, I have to say.
Okay. Talking about Kunka.
The Kanuku Man was Ultimate Muscle in the West. The
Oh.
Japanese cartoon. Very. Okay. Don't worry. Moving on. It was about wrestling. Don't worry. Moving on. Okay. Chris, have you got anything that you want to bring up which may not be directly related to free-to-play games?
If you own a PS Vita, you should all buy Muramasa Rebirth and play it.
Been there, done that.
And then you should all buy the DLC for it and play as a cat demon.
Tempting.
You are a cat demon, and she says nyan all the time, or most of
You
the
are
time.
a cat. You are a cat. Meow
It's a
meow.
sad story.
No,
But yeah, Muramasa is pretty good.
it really is. It's a great game. Vanillaware, people who made Odin Sphere, which is a great game in and of itself as well on the PS2. If you happen to have a PS3 and access to the US store, which is easy enough to get, you can buy Odin Sphere for the PS2 on the PSN, and it's well worth it. Dragon's Crown was another game that Vanillaware put out. That game has issues
So the
beyond
one
its.
with the boobs.
That one has issues beyond its ridiculously grotesque art style. Yes, that's the one which you're thinking about.
That game. And now that I played it, I understand certain people, not certain people's objection to some of its visual style. I mean, I made an Amazon character, and the jump animation is stupid.
Oh,
It's
the
really dumb.
only character I actually like playing in that game is the elf, and that's pretty much it. Everything else just I think it's the sorcerer rather than the witch.
Sorceress, yeah.
Yeah, because you're just sitting there going, I mean, it looks really nice. I mean, the art style is beautiful. It's just, it's hyper over the top.
Yeah, and on the Vita at least, I don't know as on the PS3, but on the Vita, your avatars take up a lot of screen space. So it looks crowded.
Yep, it's because I've got it
I'm
on the
watching
Vita
the
as
trailer,
well.
and I'm getting that from the trailer as well. They're huge.
Yeah,
And I don't
huge
know
in many ways.
how it's on the PS3 when you play it on a proper TV, but on the Vita, it feels and looks crowded.
Okay. Anything else for the Vita? Because I'm going to talk about a Vita game as well. So always good to talk
Anything
about Vita games.
else on the Vita? No, I mean Child of Light is coming out to the Vita.
Hasn't it already come out?
The Child of Light came out for 360, PS3, and PC, I think.
I think
And the
PS
Vita version
Vita-
was announced a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if it's out yet because I finished the game on the PC. If you own the Vita and you haven't played Child of Light, you might want to pick it up.
I think it's been out in the UK on the Vita for a while.
Okay.
I may be wrong though.
Well, simply because from for me, the Vita has issues when it comes to doing 3D spaces because they don't have anti-aliasing, so you have a lot of jagged edges, and
Yeah.
it doesn't look that good. It looks kind of bad,
No,
but since Child of Light is a 2D game, it looks really good actually, and the display, if you have the first generation, I think the colors are pretty neat on it. So yeah, Child of Light. Well, unless you hate poetry or bad poetry, then don't pick up Child
there's
of
no
Light.
such thing as good poetry.
Um,
Let's do this. And if you want to see a review of Child of Light before you make a decision, you can go on criticalgamer.co.uk and read my review. Yay!
Good, thank you. That was another thing I wanted to cover at some point was your reviews on Critical Gamer. So yeah, Adam writes reviews for Critical Gamer when he can actually post them. He can't always post them for some bizarre reason, but when he does, and his most recent review was for Crypto the Necrodancer, I think.
It's not up yet, but yep, that'll be up probably by the time this podcast is up.
So that's Critical Gamer, all one word.
.co.uk, yep.
Excellent. In my case, I'm looking forward to picking up finally Sword Art Online for the Vita next week because I played it the Japanese version on the PSP last year and really enjoyed it as a just general dungeon crawling quasi MMO style game on the Vita because I actually prefer playing handheld consoles over the majority of proper full-fledged consoles. And I liked Sword Art Online's first half fine, second half not so much. Yeah, I find Sword Art Online is odd because Sword Art Online is essentially a copy of the Dot Hack series, which was big around the beginning of 2000, I think. Can you remember Dot Hack?
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, it's a copy of what was that book?
Otherland?
Good. I'm drawing a
Otherworld?
blank.
I was going to say
Let me
Otherworld
grab
by
my-
Tad Williams.
I'll tell you in a minute. Keep talking, I'll tell you.
Pretty damn sure it's Otherworld by Tad Williams.
Not Neuromancer.
What?
Forget it.
Are we talking a William Gibson book here?
Possibly. The one with hero protagonist. It's the main guy.
Anyway, to me, it mostly resembles Tad Williams' Otherworld series, which were books from '95, which I read when I was a kid. And they're a very similar story of a bunch of people being stuck in a virtual reality, and it being categorized as an illness, and people being stuck in hospitals and stuff like that. But yeah, the Vita version looks to have been souped up quite a bit in the battle stances as much as anything else. The combat moves a lot faster, and there are more skills to download. It's essentially an MMO, but played from a single-player perspective. So you're not connecting to anybody else. It's all single player, but there is a local internet connection where you can, and you know what I mean, Wi-Fi, local, well, you know what I mean. Words difficult, words are hard. Yeah, when you've got three people together in the same room and you can connect to them.
This is the ad hoc system of the Vita.
Thank you, ad hoc. There is an ad hoc online system where you can go dungeon crawling with three other friends. So some people are going to be pissed off that it's not online. Can't do it online, but they seem to be supporting it quite a bit. They've added a hell of a lot of extra content as purely as a download. God, these dogs are going to drive me insane. Purely as a patch, so they've lifted the leveling from, I think it's about 150. You can go up to 250 now, I think. You started at about 100, I should point out. And yeah, it looks just to be really interesting, and I like those sort of games because you can just sit down and, I suppose, grind without having to put extra money into it. Apart from that, there's also Shin Megami Tensei 4 coming out in September for the 3DS, which I've been waiting for the past year.
It's actually coming out.
It is actually coming out, and it's going to be $17.99 on the digital store. Can you imagine an Shin Megami Tensei game being relatively cheap on the 3DS?
And even out in Europe.
And
It's
even out in
amazing.
Europe. I know. It was bad enough trying to get hold of Devil Survivor. And Lord help anybody trying to get hold of Devil Survivor 2.
Gave up.
Oh, Overclocked is brilliant. It's one of my favourite games of the last couple of years, so it's well worth it. Just so you know. And I see that they're doing a sale on the Nintendo Network at the moment. I don't quite know who's going to buy Kid Icarus for $20.99. I think that's a bit expensive, especially when you don't get the stand, because it's going to do your wrists in trying to play that game.
Depends how you play. If you were to prop your knee up, you could probably play how I used to play it.
It's a good game. It's just I think it's marred by that control system.
I would disagree a lot that it's marred by that. I think that was the best control scheme I've seen in that kind of game. Gives you so much control over what you're doing, what you're aiming at.
So,
It's
as
basically
opposed to
having a
having-
mouse on a console, handheld console. It's awesome.
Yeah, but the way that you have to hold the thing and use the pen stylus is just irritating. At least it
as bad
annoys
as people
me.
said.
I found it that bad when I played it, so yeah. And also, it gave you the option to use the, the control pad thing,
The little
the
add-on.
the add-on, yeah, which I had, and it just made it left-handed. So you couldn't use it to aim anything. So you couldn't use dual joysticks. It was the most retarded thing I've seen anybody put into a game.
Fairly sure you can reconfigure everything in Kid Icarus.
No, you couldn't. I tried. It wouldn't let me reconfigure it to being a dual stick. You made it so the stick could be used left-handed, but otherwise,
That's stupid.
no. Yeah, it really is. But it's a good game. It's a solid game. Apart from that, I would say Kid Icarus. It had some really good ideas, and the multiplayer was pretty fun as well.
Yeah, it actually was, surprisingly. I went to an event in Reading, I think, where they had a big tournament. It was pretty cool.
I never knew these things existed in this country, I have to be honest.
This was 2 years ago, maybe 3? When it came out, basically. I don't know why I'm saying years ago when I could just say when it came out.
Okay, well, I think we're coming to the conclusion of the podcast, really, unless anybody, apart from my dogs, has anything else to say.
Adam hates sad.
I hate Zed.
Adam does hate Zed. I hate Blitzcrank, and has to be pointed out that Chris hates Yi.
Everyone hates Yi.
Everybody.
No.
Damn it!